Hi, my name is Carl Schroeder, and I am going to talk about the multiverse. This video is to help my friends and myself and all of you who are concerned about the rise of dictators, narcissists, some of the worst human behavior at a time in history when technology is amazing, potentials are amazing, the wisdom and the culture of humanity has really come to such a potential. What is going on with some of these worst violent elements rising to power? How can this be? How can this be happening? Well, there is a good reason, and I want to talk about how to understand this so you don't have to be afraid, because if you are afraid, that feeds into their reality. We're talking about people who use fear to control. So whether you are a direct follower of a certain dictator narcissist, or you are an indirect follower by fearing them and fighting them, either way they are winning. You don't want to be in that position. In fact, in my current reality, it is 2024 in the United States, and we are facing a big election, the return of a nightmare. We thought we got rid of this guy. I'm not going to go into so much names and the politics of it, but we thought we got rid of a guy who is really hell-bent on destroying the country for his own personal gain. And he's back, and he has his followers. Why? What's going on? And what's more, the guy who is a decent, normal, traditional politician running against him, well, he's kind of old and he doesn't always make the best appearances. So you want to take your lessons, your spiritual lessons from reality. You want to see how it is reflecting your beliefs. Do you believe that love and public service are old-fashioned? Do you believe that dictators' violence, is that the solution? Is that the only way to really run the world? Obviously, if you're listening to this video, you care enough that you are trying to see how love can work. Well, love does work. What we need is a new paradigm shift, and that's why we're going to talk about the multiverse, how realities split, what it means to be going into 4D, the whole idea of an ascension, that yes, the Earth is ascending at this time. What Ascension means, it's about, whoa, hey, I'm Astral Carl from the Multiverse, and I'm just popping in here quickly to say that the physical Carl that you are now watching, hey, he's feeling a bit challenged to contain his views on the politics in his current reality. So if you were hoping to hear more about the US elections in the year 2024, then after physical Carl does some more emotional processing, with journaling, meditating, stuff like that, he is going to make another video called Happy No King's Day to celebrate the 4th of July. I know this because, hey, I'm Astral Carl. I'm above time and space, so I can see into what you would call the future. But of course, it's all happening here now. In this other video, I can see that you will be satisfied to learn fascinating details about the past life karma of American politics, as well as more insights on how negativity is ending for the ascension on planet Earth. So go check that video out if you want more specific facts to feel grounded and validated, and then come back here for the theory of freedom in the multiverse. Now back to you, physical Carl. The whole idea of an ascension, that yes, the Earth is ascending at this time. What Ascension means, it's about, it really kicked into high gear in 2020. That is when, again, referring to my current reality, by the time you see this, you could be in a different reality. But the point is, in 2020, we had a pandemic. We had a global wake-up call. People realized, all the stuff that had been not in my backyard, I don't have to worry about it, somebody else's problem. Well, it was suddenly everybody's problem that there was a global pandemic. You could die next week. And maybe no amount of money, no amount of power could save you. So for a time in 2020, people were really waking up, and you saw the split, you saw the divergence. There were some people that were going high in terms of their ideals. They wanted to help humanity, they want to discover vaccines, they want to serve, they want to help people who are sick. And the other side using that to spread fear, to spread conspiracies, to spread lies, to spread more fear. So I'm saying, yes, we have a big polarity in the world, those who work with love and those who work with fear. But what's interesting is that negativity and positivity are really not just about the opposites of love and fear or helping people and hurting people. Yeah, that's an important polarity to notice. In fact, love is basically choosing to help people rather than hurt them. And the Dalai Lama said, if you can't help people, at least don't hurt them. So the point, though, is that polarity itself is not the answer. There's a lot of really good, well-intentioned spiritual people who are running around feeling psychically attacked by the evil of bad forces and trying to ally themselves with the good forces. That kind of polarity, that kind of splitting, that kind of judging of reality is actually still in the realm of negativity. So negativity doesn't just mean that you're being nice, that you're not trying to hurt people. If you have absolute judgments of what should exist and what doesn't exist, and a lot of us have, I mean, I myself, I actually had a big spiritual awakening after college, and we're talking decades now that I've been working with spirit, working with understanding how the universe works, and still I had my human habits of tending to judge in terms of that shouldn't even exist, that's not right, that shouldn't happen. And yeah, I mean, even if your shoulds are really nice and caring, you really want to have world peace, you really want to have diversity, to say what should not exist is hurtful to what wants to live that way. And that's why we need to move into a new understanding of power. You have the power to create your own personal reality. You always have, you always will. It's a consequence of being a consciousness. To be a consciousness means that you have your own view of everything, your own experience of everything, your own understanding of everything. And if you follow that through, you discover it actually means that you literally have your own reality. This is why so many people get excited about quantum physics, because they suddenly find out there doesn't seem to be an actual particle here or particle there. There are probability clouds. And then there's all this talk about, well, what collapses the wave function? Meaning, what turns the probabilities of an electron cloud into finding an electron exactly here? And does that scale up? Are people probability clouds? What causes you to be in one place and not the other? Well, this is where we get into the ideas of the multiverse. So one interpretation of quantum mechanics, because, a lot of physics is about the math that works, the math that fits observations, but there's still plenty of interpretation to be done. What does this mean for our human civilization? How do we live with these things? Like in 1905, Albert Einstein, discovering and explaining that time and space are some kind of illusion. He said so himself. He said, time and space are not conditions in which we live, they're modes by which we think. That we're creating the time and space. So somehow, and it works out with the math and the equations and all, and a lot of observations, but somehow, and most people still don't know how to deal with it, past, present, and future all coexist. How can that be? Well, we're used to using time to progress, to sequence our thoughts and our actions and our choices, to learn lessons about how the universe works. How can it all exist in once? Well, it does, and it's really like time is another aspect of space. Just like, if your friend is in Europe and you're in the United States, you don't think of them like not existing. They're dead. They're not here. They're not in front of me. They must be dead. Well, same thing, you think like, well, if I just had a way to contact my friend in Europe right now, they would answer the phone. Well, if you had a way to contact your friend in the 1800s or the future or whatever, they would answer the phone. They would be there right now. All realities are happening right now. So there are a lot of mind-bending, mind-expanding facts going on that science is still dealing with, and they're percolating into the popular culture. So the popular culture is talking a lot about the multiverse now with these quantum probability clouds. What does that mean? Just like the popular culture has been talking about time travel for quite a while. And still, people are tending toward a lot of fantasies. Now, the fantasies again, along the lines of real positive energy doesn't negate anything. It finds the meaning behind it, though. Real positive energy says, okay, what you're doing has a validity, so I'm not going to cancel it out. Not this cancel culture, but I'm going to look for what is the real cause, the real mechanism, the truth behind what you're experiencing. So experiences can be different from the real truth of the universe. So in the multiverse, people have a lot of fantasies, the Marvel comic universe. I mean, just huge, anything's possible, good and evil battles, all this wild stuff, or some recent movie where people had hot dog fingers. I mean, what kind of sense does that make? How would anything evolve with like rubbery fingers? It doesn't make any sense. The real multiverse is actually a lot less dramatic than all these TV shows and movies. The real multiverse is about small variations in your life that can make all the difference. And as you go down the road of those small variations, they get bigger and bigger. And if you're prepared for it, the world could wake up. I mean, when you wake up, the world is very different. So we need to get away from this idea of there being one world, one reality, because that is the source of the dictator's power. The dictators, the narcissists, they are working on convincing everyone. They have a whole negative belief system that they are trying to master. They're trying to be the masters of imprisoning limiting beliefs. They have whole systems of thought that convince you have no choice. You have no power. Whoever has more violent power in reality can command others because there's nowhere else to go. When in fact, there are plenty of other realities to go to. You don't have to stay with a dictator or a narcissist. And if you really understand this, if you really understand that the multiverse is a real thing that's actually happening all the time. I mean, whenever you make a real deep healing, you are going into a different timeline. People, if you do like a meditation with your inner child, okay, that's not just a technique. Your inner child is real. You remember being them at one point, but they continue to be themselves while you went on in these increments. Which, if you were really mindful, you would notice like, whoa, I had a big change of consciousness when I went from child to adolescent or adolescent to young adult. I've noticed some of these changes. Anyway, the point is that we need to learn how to use our power to create reality. And even then, it's not so much that we create reality, is that we choose between the multiverse. All the possibilities are equally valid. They aren't necessarily good representations of a true loving universe and the power of love, but they are valid in terms of that you can have that experience. You need to understand how you don't have to be threatened by anything in your reality that you don't like, that isn't good for you. You can just figure out what are the beliefs that I had that were tuning into other people who share that reality. And then change those beliefs and function differently and trust it, discover it. You will magically move into a different experience, which increasingly or rapidly becomes a totally different world. The details you leave up to the universe. This is what they talk about with manifesting, real manifesting, not the ego manifesting. There's been a lot of talk of The Secret and such, where they're selling you you too can be a billionaire, you too can be this, you can do, all you have to do is visualize. And then all these success stories of people who said I visualized my dream house and then I got it exactly, or I visualized I had this much of my money in my bank account and then I did. And it's how many other people that doesn't work for. So then you get a whole next generation of workshops about why The Secret, why the law of attraction didn't work for you. Well, the reason why it doesn't work is because it's not some whim, some ego world where just whatever you say goes. That's the dictators, okay? You don't want to flip from one fantasy of having no power to another fantasy of having every arbitrary power that you say. No, you are an incredibly powerful divine being who has already, at higher levels, decided what you're going to do in your life. And then when you incarnate, when you get down in here, when you put yourself inside of the illusion, then you have more choices mostly along the lines of like, do I delay this? Do I stretch it out? Do I work with this here, with over here? But people who are mindful of their lives you've probably noticed that you can get stuck on a certain sort of life lesson, a certain attitude, something to learn. And it can take months or years. And when you learn it, when you get it, it's like, whoa, the world is a new place. Like I did something, I made a hurdle. I have a whole new way of looking at things. This is what I'm talking about. When you really heal, when you really change, everything changes. Past, present, future, and your connection to all your other selves in this universe of time simultaneous, all spaces are accessible by consciousness. Consciousness is the big power behind everything. So look, let's talk about like, why is reality an illusion? Because we need to have more power. This is what all the dictators, all the narcissists are doing. They're pursuing power, and they only believe in materialism. You talk to dictators, they are not spiritual people, okay? They are people who they believe there's no afterlife, there's no particular value in working with human beings, there's no, there's pleasure, but they just want to pleasure themselves. They don't really care about other people's feelings. They have diminished empathy. They have shrunken amygdalas. There are various ways you can look at it. It's a kind of mental illness to be that kind of negative, that kind of not caring about humanity. But yeah, the dictators, the narcissists, they are completely materialistic. There's nothing to live for except gaining power and wealth. They're insatiable. They will do anything for it. And they just may have their particular approaches. This one favors a lot of actual, violence, physical violence. This one favors a lot of sort of legal violence. This one favors a lot of sort of like emotional violence, gaslighting, whatever. But the point is materialism. Materialism is the real problem. Materialism is where you say that the reality is what's real and you're a secondary effect. You can only react to the reality. And even some of the best human potential movements, some of the best ethical systems, they still emphasize the fact that, well, you can't really do that much about the reality. You can just change how you react to it, respond to it. You can have a better attitude. You can make the best of things. They don't actually believe or say that, no, your whole world could change. You are the source of everything. You are not in the world. The world is in you. So let's talk about how this could even make sense, because it's important for things to make sense. Like I said, the multiverse, you don't want to just be imagining like, oh, anything's possible, any fantasy, because negativity will be happy to use your eagerness for fantasies and pretty lies. It's another quality. There are certain qualities of dictators and narcissists and very negative people. You will see they use paranoia. They use projections where whatever they're doing, they blame it on someone else. You never know who's really doing what's going on. They will use a lot of emotional drama. They will stir you up, keep you agitated. They will say, things are life and death threats. They have a certain bag of tricks. That's all. You become used to this. You realize the kind of tricks that negativity, that the dictators, that the negative belief systems are using against you. You can start sorting it out, and you can start noticing, okay, like that person over there, well, obviously I don't think, that conspiracy theory, but what are the conspiracy theories you're thinking? When you see people in the world, you're not totally in their reality. You may share things. You may have similarities between your realities. But when they talk about like life is like a mirror, it's really like, one of those disco mirror balls that have a lot of different facets on it. You want to see the parts of the mirror that are reflecting you. The way you do that is you notice what you're reacting to. I see this person, and right away, this is what I notice about them. I like these things. I don't like these things. Okay, those are the things that are pointing to something in you. And still, there might be some translation you have to make. But see, like with the dictators, you can decide, okay, I'm not going to do what they do. But you know what you share in common with them? The same materialistic belief system that says, I don't have power. I hate to admit it, but love isn't that powerful, violence is powerful. It's not at all. We're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about how exactly the narcissists, the dictators, the abusers, how they work and how they're fooling themselves and fooling you. They're actually hurting themselves. They're modeling self-abuse. They're trying to get you to go along with them, and they will get theirs in the afterlife. Yes, there is an afterlife. It's we'll talk about this. It's simply when you go to the other side of your belief systems. Beliefs are what create reality. Just picture like there's a sort of layer of beliefs. Now, beliefs are your views on how things work, your definitions, your worldviews, your expectations. It's like your favorite thoughts. I mean, thoughts come out of your beliefs, but beliefs are like a simple one, like, the world is against me. I have all the bad luck. When you have a belief like that, or a positive belief the world is for you, and it is. You see, the truth is that above belief systems is the real world, the real spiritual world, which runs on love, which only makes sense, because how could a universe that's, dog eat dog at each other's throat, how could it even exist? It doesn't. So negativity, which is all about negating and trying to fight for power in this one world idea where you can't escape, that doesn't really exist. That's not real. It quickly burns itself out. So belief systems, below the belief system, people are existing within those beliefs. So if you believe the world is against you, and your best friend comes along and waves from a distance and you can't see right away who it is, your immediate reaction is like, oh my God, somebody's out to get me. You just interpret things that way. That's what interpreting is. Interpreting, people talk about reframing reality. That's reinterpreting reality. Apply your best beliefs, your best values, your best principles and ideals to your experience. Reinterpret, reframe things. But you notice your first reactions, those are the beliefs that you need to deal with, you need to change. And you can modify them over time. And so beliefs, when you apply them to reality, when you apply them to what's been happening, you interpret reality. And it can look like, well, my beliefs came after the experience. But actually, remember, that's materialism. That is saying that the reality out here is solid and real and it pre-exists me. It does not. What pre-exists you, something does pre-exist you. What pre-exists you is this sort of layer of all the belief system possibilities. And you need to let it be that every kind of possible belief is in that layer. It's okay. Let it be okay. It's not your job to change beliefs. You can't. Okay? Once something is created, it can't be uncreated. All the possibility exists. Above the belief system layer is the real world where only love is real, the universe that is self-supporting, that makes sense, the diversity, the joy. I mean, if something could create itself, why would it not create the most wonderful, beautiful way to exist? Well, it did. It always has. It always will. So what I was saying about dictators, let me make it a little more clear to you why and how reality is an illusion. Okay, so that can be very ungrounding. That can be very disturbing, when in a lot of philosophical traditions they say reality is just an illusion. Reality isn't really there. And I'm saying that too, I suppose, but okay, let's be clear. The point is that, here's a good analogy. It's more like going to a movie with a friend. You sit together in the movie theater, and the lights come up, and you watch the movie, and you get absorbed in it. But you're sitting there with your friend. You are sharing a movie experience. Why? Not so that you can jump into the movie. You're not expecting the lights and the screen, they're real, and I could actually jump into that movie and just leave. No, I mean, and when the movie's over, you don't lament, oh my God, I died. It's no, it's that would be for somebody who's what kind of problem do you have that you think the movie is more real than you and your friends sitting in the movie, enjoying it together? If the goal is to become aware that you are using this layer of beliefs from the upper world of the infinite universe, which runs on love, and most of you is up there. And then a part of you has filtered down through beliefs and come down into this world where you experience a reality coming out of the divine energies. So what I'm saying is, like you and your friend in the movie theater, the goal is to be aware that you're watching a movie together. Why? To have a relationship experience. I mean, realities are fun. Movies are fun. They're awesome. It's like you want to be able to be aware that I'm next to my friend just because I've been focused on the movie, like my friend isn't gone. My own self that is in the movie theater isn't gone. You know, I want to be able to, like, oh, you know, maybe it's one of those movies like Rocky Horror Picture Show, you know, a lot of interaction with the movie. And it's like people are cheering and you're talking to people, and whatever level of interaction with the real world of you watching a movie, you just don't want to forget that you're there watching a movie. I'm not dependent on, you know, if the movie breaks down, if the power goes out, like, oh my God, I lost everything. And yet that's how people are acting with materialism. So look, when people say the reality is an illusion, I like to call it empty containers. The point is that there is something that we're all experiencing together, but it's more like empty containers. There's no definite meaning to it. Everyone has to put their own energy into it. So when you and another friend go to a party, everyone that goes to that party, they can have totally different experiences, even though you're at the same party, because people are pouring their energy into it. Think of your energy, your consciousness as your story, where you come from, where you're going to, what you're working on, all your expectations, that whole belief system layer. So yeah, the point is that reality, it's more of a virtual experience. It's shared by the people in your reality. Why? For the purpose of having some fun, to be able to have a relationship, to be able to love each other, to do nice things for each other. So yeah, realities are an illusion. They're a very, very useful illusion. You make it real with your love. And you make it less real, you make it meaningless with not love, with violence. Dictators, narcissists, so on, they are making their lives meaningless. And the problem is they have a whole beliefs, they have focused on a very simplistic belief system. The strength of dictators, like, you know, you look at why do so many people follow these dictators, and why haven't these dictators been, like, you know, put in jail by now? They seem to have some superhuman strength to them. Well, they do. Not superhuman, I would say more subhuman. What's happening is they have simplified themselves to just represent these very basic beliefs. Very simple beliefs. And as long as they're living in the belief system, it'll keep circulating. It'll keep perpetuating itself. Like, so all that matters is I acquire power. I'll do whatever I need to get it. Very simple-minded, very focused. Unlike you, you're trying to juggle a whole life full of relationships, full of love, full of different ways of figuring out your true values, your principles, your ideals, trying to get to a sense of your unique soul. Because yes, everyone has a unique spiritual divine personality. That's why law of attraction doesn't work the same for everyone, because not everyone wants to have $1 million. But if you've been raised to think, oh my God, I have to have $1 million to be happy, well, if it serves you, then maybe your greater self, your higher self, your soul, whatever you want to call it, will let some of that wealth through. But other people, it's like, I've been trying to visualize this. What's wrong with me? I'm such a loser. You're not a loser. You will win fantastically when you tune into the real you, what you really care about, what you really came here to do. Dictators, narcissists, they're throwing all of that complexity out. They're focusing on something so simple. Just dominate people, just confuse and lie, just incessantly lie to cover their tracks. There is a superhuman quality to that. So if you're waiting around for justice, if you're waiting around for the dictators to all get jailed and whatever, you may have to wait a long time. There is no end game to negativity. There's no end to negativity. These people will go and go and go and go until they die. And that's when they get theirs, because negativity, remember, negativity is all about segregating, separating the energies. What the dictators, narcissists have done, what the abusers have done, is they've separated the energies. They've made things look good down here under the belief system. When they go into the afterlife, yes, there's an afterlife. Your consciousness continues. you go into the afterlife, you have the so-called life review. The life review is just basically where you collect all of the energy, all of your consequences of your choices that you weren't dealing with during life. So for most people, it's a humbling experience to go into the afterlife and discover, like, oh, that's how I made that person feel. Oh, that's what was going on, that part of my life that I was anxious about and never dealt with. And that, but for dictators, for narcissists, for abusers, they go into the afterlife, it's hell. They're suddenly hit with, oh my God, I did so many horrible things. I was separating out all the stuff that I did to other people, trying to make it look good down here in the reality, while in fact, all this toxicity was building up, and someday I was going to have to put it together again. So that's what's really happening. So let's be clear about why you don't have to be afraid of the dictators, the narcissists. If anything, you want to understand why they are suffering, why they are really damaged people who think that only this reality is real, that they don't have any power, because violence is powerlessness. There was a great quote, violence is a failure of the imagination. I love that. I believe Tom Baker, who was one of the classic Doctor Who's, said it. Anyway, but let's do a little diagram, just to be really clear, okay? Let's be really clear here why violence is kidding itself. It's not working. Okay, so let me see. I got my little board here. Folks who have been in my classes, they know my classic diagrams here. I'm not going to draw the whole thing. I'm going to make it more simple here. Here's the Earth, and here we'll picture the source, okay, the background intelligence and love of the universe, the living, loving universe. Like all these ideas of God, of religion. Okay, if like religion, upsets you, I understand. People have been wronged in religions, but the idea of there being a higher power, of that it's based on love, that is real, that is true. So, and we're picturing the source as being up here when really it's all around here, okay? We're just spreading it out for a diagram. And picture your part of the source, your personality of the source is your soul, or your higher self, your inner being, your essence, your muse, your flow, your Holy Spirit, whatever you want to call it. And you here, the human being, you are on the earth. Whoops, okay. Well, even my stick figures are confused. Okay. All right. Smile. And your soul is always sending a wave of energy, of guidance, of the divine love. And then we're talking about belief systems. Belief systems are like this layer across here that all these possibilities exist. Like, let's just make like pluses and minuses for the general idea of like, positive and negative. Okay, there's all these possibilities of belief systems, such that when there is divine love coming through all the time. But if you have a negative belief, such as paranoia, which negative belief systems and dictators trying to use negative belief systems will use against you. But if somebody who's paranoid, you've experienced it, right? Somebody who just continually misinterprets every good intention you do until finally you have to give up. You say like, God bless you, I wish you well, but I can't seem to do anything right by you. You're looking for someone to demonize, and I will not be your pincushion. I will not be your punching bag. I need to leave. Sometimes the best way to love someone is just get away from them. You recognize that if I want to be my real self, if I don't want to like serve them in some way to please them, don't go down a path of people pleasing. Be true to yourself. Then you just have to exit the situation. That's fine. That is fine. Don't let yourself be fooled from childhood, from, we were all raised when we were little and helpless, relatively helpless, or absolutely helpless when we were first born infants. We buy into, we absorb all the beliefs of our parents so that they will continue to take care of us. But you can change those as you get older. And also, there's a whole idea of like, well, do I choose my family at another level of consciousness? Yes. So why would I choose an abusive family with horrible negative beliefs? various reasons, to learn how to master that, to become the wounded healer who becomes the self-healing healer. That's an archetype, if you've heard of the wounded healer. It's the idea of you learn to heal yourself of certain conditions, certain whatever you needs healing, and then you become an expert in that, and now you can offer it to other people. This is how people really learn in life. You have to go through the experience yourself, and then you can offer it to other people, which is a wonderful gift. So look, don't judge yourself or anyone for being in a problem situation. Just focus on what's the most positive way to get out of here. So look, the beliefs cause there to be a kind of bubble around you of your own energy. It's from your soul, but now it's colored by the beliefs. So that now if you have positive beliefs are like a nice doorway. They let through the truth. They let through the truth. I believe in love. Love is the true power, the true creative power, appreciating something about everyone. Everyone has a goodness deep inside. I like to think, everyone has a gift to give, and with 8 billion people on the planet, that's a lot of presents to open, okay? This is a fixer-upper planet. I have a lot of fundamentally positive, optimistic approaches to life. Yes, it's a fixer-upper planet with a lot of problems to fix, but then there's a lot of people with gifts to apply. There's a lot of situations that are calling for our love. We have so many ways to learn how to love more. It's wonderful. Love, by the way, my thumbnail definition being your ability and willingness to help someone you care about to have a wonderful life. You want to help them have a wonderful life, and you're able to have a wonderful life. So there's those two sides of love, is that you want to love, but you're also able to love. That's the power side of love. So just to make it clear, like this is why people seek power. Power is not a bad thing at all. Just like money is not bad. Money is not inherently bad. It depends who's spending it, for what reason. Any kind of these simplistic judgments of this is always bad, this is always good, that's back to the materialism. That absolute judgments who say this is always bad, this is always good, that's a fantasy of kind of push-button power. It's people who have no power of their own. They're not able to work with a situation to find a good solution. They just want to be able to say, that's always good, that's always bad. I want to make the good things happen. I want to stop the bad things. Absolute judgments rapidly go into punishments, condemnations. Here's what the bad things should have happen to them to make them go away. They shouldn't exist. Here's what the good things should happen. They should all be rewarded. Rewards and punishments. All this stuff is the mentality of materialism, of really actually being quite weak. So look, here you're in your bubble of reality. And honestly, this is what I call my tapioca model of reality, that everybody's in their own bubble. And yes, we experience being in a shared reality, but it's just like, now that we have computers and virtual realities and, everybody is on Zoom since 2020, then you understand, like, you can touch the screen, but you're not touching me directly, but you can have a meaningful interaction with a real other being. I'm really here. You're not just making me up. I'm really here. But you can only interact with me through your screen. If you have a good screen, a good interface, then it faithfully transmits what I'm trying to say. And then you can decide whether or not you agree with me. But if you have a messed up interface that would be represented by negative beliefs that don't let things through in a faithful way, then you're going to be in the situation of like the paranoid person, that even people who are trying to help them, they run away screaming. So when you meet another person in the world, okay, again, my funky stick figures here, and they are in their own bubble, and they have their own soul, and it has its own wave of energy coming down. When you meet someone in your life that you're attracted to, and I mean attracted like for a good reason or a bad reason, something about them I'm reacting to. Lots of other people, I don't care. They can come and go. They might as well be invisible. I'm neutral. But this person, oh my God, you have a connection. And you can work together and have that shared reality experience, like you and your friend sitting in a movie theater together watching the same movie, and you can comment to each other like, oh, that was cool, wasn't it? Like, afterward, let's go to this restaurant and talk about the movie. But the point is that you are each in your own reality. You're each in your own tapioca bubble of tapioca is a pudding. If you're not aware, it's lots of little. It's from a root, I believe. Anyway, little balls in a pudding. Each of us is in our own bubble, so we can feel like we're in the same reality. But when things diverge, when you're not getting along with someone, let it be. Like, no, they were never actually. I was dealing with my version of them. I like to draw it like sort of a perspective, on the inside of my screen, my bubble screen, and they were dealing with their version of me. Let me draw it in the consistent color here. Okay? And then you can think about, okay, that person, when I wanted to turn right, they wanted to turn left. When I had all these plans, relationships, people get disappointed because, oh my God, I got so excited about this person. We were going to do all these things together, have beautiful babies and trips and all this stuff. And then, the honeymoon's over. Actually, they're just another person. And, they don't fix all my problems. They're not my ideal. They're not the rest of me. Now, the rest of you is up here. The rest of you is not in another person. But look how the rest of you can communicate at the ideal level of souls. It's all love up here. It's all love energy. Okay? So you can communicate through souls to each other. So you can have ongoing, conscious, positive relationships, but you are communicating with your soul above, beyond belief systems, and they communicate with theirs, and you synchronize up here, and you come through reasonably positive belief systems, and you can get good interactions. Well, narcissists, dictators, etc., they have very polluted, negative belief system layers, so that by the time they get down here, they don't even regard human beings as like themselves at all. They just see themselves as the only thing that matters, very solipsistic. And so what they do is they set it up where, here's how an abuser works. It's very visceral. It's pretty intense when you realize it. An abuser is actually always abusing themselves. You can only interact with your own energy. You can only interact with your own depiction, with your own energy, with your own experience. Like, I can only interact with my computer on a Zoom meeting or whatever. And if I want to attack someone, I don't punch my computer. I'm going to break my screen. Well, this is what abusers do. They are punching themselves. They are hurting their own energy, because that's all we can do. We don't actually have direct interaction with each other. We only interact through the level of souls and the love up here above belief systems. But you won't even perceive that if you have too much negative thoughts, negative beliefs going on. So abusers, they're really abusing themselves. Most abusers, they have an abused childhood, so they continue to have a really abused, damaged part of themselves, and that's who they are abusing. So when the dictator, one of the favorite games of a dictator is who is their scapegoat. They're going to blame everything, project everything onto the bad guys. Everybody hate them. Everybody be afraid of them. I will save you. I'll keep you safe. They're hurting themselves. They're hurting themselves. And one way to think about this is that, the human brain has a lot of extra space. It's bigger than we need to run our bodies. So they talk about mirror neurons. We have these mirror neurons, extra neurons, to be able to run empathic simulations of other people. Basically, parts of your brain are dedicated to feeling what the other person appears to be feeling. That is your version of the other person, okay? So a normal empathic person is going to treat their version of somebody else like a human being. An abuser is going to treat their version of somebody else like just a thing to be used. And that inner abuse is building up in here. There's no direct impact. There's no actual physical solid reality out there. It's a shared simulation. It's as real as the love you put into it. Just like you would not try, if you're watching a movie with a friend, you're not going to try to talk to your friend through the movie. Excuse me, I got to jump into the movie so that I can talk to you, or like, it doesn't make any sense. It's like, no, you're in your own bubble. But people who believe in materialism, in the one world out there, they are fundamentally powerless because you've cut yourself off from your power to connect with your soul and change your beliefs and have real love come in. So if you believe in materialism, this person is completely cut off, only negative beliefs. So this is the abuser. They are abusing their image of you, and they are modeling it, and they are pumping out all of these lies and negative beliefs to get you to go along with it. And this is why abusers have to blame their victim. It's like, you wonder, like, why do abusers blame their victim? It's like, insult upon injury. Like, bad enough that you did that to them. Why do you have to blame them too and say, like, well, if you hadn't dressed that way, I wouldn't have raped you. If you hadn't, like, tempted me, I wouldn't have done that. They have to blame you. They have to blame, because that is how they segregate in their mind. They separate. They don't feel the part of them. They say, like, I'm wonderful. I'm the one in charge, and that part of you, you're the one who's to blame for everything. So abuser, they have this victim mentality. I'm always a victim, but they're really the ones that are victimizing. You, on the other hand, being a decent, normal human being, you feel that, like, okay, what the hell's going on? This person's blaming me. Well, if you buy into the blame, you start to get segregated too. So you start seeing what they want you to see. You start having that part of you that's abusive, the inner critic, the inner voices become very abusive, and they perpetuate, people who have their parents are long dead, but they still live in their head. They're still abusing them and criticizing them. And so the normal person who has some empathy and some caring, they feel shame. Shame is the feeling of being told by someone, you're wrong, you just shouldn't even exist. This is a basic effect of negativity, negating, invalidating someone's existence. You shouldn't even exist. You're going to feel shame for that. So abusers have to blame. Their victims have to feel shame. And the way to turn it around is just see that, like, wait a minute, I don't have to buy into this abuser's lies. Maybe I have to go back to childhood and heal some of my wounds and realize, like, hey, there's a whole cascade, there's a whole sequence of people who were heaping stuff on me about how I was a bad person, shouldn't exist, and a loser. But it's not true. It's not true. I can connect with my soul. I connect with my source through positive beliefs. And I realize that, like, this person's really quite sad and pathetic. And shame, I want to convert shame into honest regret for the mistakes I made. Obviously, a mistake of, like, having bought into this abuser's, narcissist, dictator system. But the rest of it, I push back. Hey, that's not my shame. The stuff you did to me, that's not my shame. I don't take the blame. You did it. And they want to remain blameless, shameless. That's why you notice these narcissists, the dictators, they never admit to anything wrong. They double down. It's insane. But you see, that's the simplistic kind of superhuman but really subhuman quality of the strongmen, of the dictators. This is why some people worship them. It's like, you're like supernatural. It's like, yeah, they're supernaturally stupid. They're supernaturally building up their toxicity on this side of the belief system. So when they die, yeah, they're going to go into the afterlife and they're going to they're going to experience a hell. Whereas you, a normal human being, you're trying to work your way through life. You do what you can to heal your beliefs, to get away from narcissistic, abusive relationships, and you'll keep making your progress. You're complex. You're loving where you can love. You're growing. You're okay. So just don't believe that it's some kind of failure of humanity or failure of the universe, that there are dictators, that there are narcissists, that there are violent cultures of domination. Because all that's happening there is, like, people who they don't believe they have any love. I mean, they don't believe they have any power, so they aren't going to have any love. I mean, love, like I said, is helping someone, not hurting them. So this is the basis of why negativity can exist, but it can exist in sort of a freeze-dried, documentary reference way. as you progress in your own spiritual journey and work your way through the multiverse, you can leave the dictators behind. You can realize, like, they maybe they had their experiences of gathering power and wealth, but they were really hurting themselves. They don't fool me. I am wise to this. I am wise to how life really works. I have a part of me that lives above belief systems in a spiritual realm, and this is the idea of ascension, to be able to exist on both sides of your beliefs. I can be up here closer to my soul. I can also be down here in my beliefs. I can go back and forth, keep refining my beliefs, keep moving into a better and better reality. And so life is really, it's really a skill of understanding how everything that happens to you, you can use positively. Just because you see another person doesn't mean you're in their reality, doesn't mean you have their belief system. You see people who have very negative beliefs, they're very fragile. They're very fragile, they're very controlling, they're very freaked out, they're very paranoid, whatever. And then they fall onto the side of, whatever their ethical system allows. But you can be in a totally different belief system. You can say, look, I want there to be a potential, an option to hurt people, and then I will consciously choose it. I knew I could hurt you, and I didn't want to hurt you. That's the start of love. That's the most wonderful thing. Everybody is born wanting love, wanting to love, but then has to learn how to do it. Because love, remember I said, love is helping someone you care about have a wonderful life. In every different situation, you never step in the same river twice. This is why all the higher beings, they just love to love. They love to have another opportunity to help you, because they know that love is the never-ending journey of learning how the universe works, learning how to respond to a new situation, learning how to discover what gifts do I have inside of myself, how do I connect with that higher part of myself that has an endless source of my special brand of being in the universe. You are a form of the universe expressing itself through you. You have your own way of loving. You have your own special personality, panache, style. You're beautiful. You're amazing. That's why I get so excited. My passion is to do this kind of work to help people understand, because I want to see people's souls come through. You can live with your soul more and more in your body. An endless supply of your inspiration and your commitment, your dedication to creating the most positive realities. So let it go that, yeah, there are dictators and all. Just take the reflections, take the information, take the feedback. Why is a dictator in my reality? Oh, we probably share the same belief that, violence is more powerful, that love isn't that powerful. I better strengthen my belief. I better think of this through. The way you change beliefs is just think it through, okay? Think it through with your connection to higher knowing, higher awareness that the universe is really spiritual. Think it through and realize, like, oh, some of the stuff I was automatically reacting to doesn't make any sense. What I was saying about dictators, they're really hurting themselves and they're going to get all that hurt energy in the afterlife. If just think it through, you realize, like, whoa, I really don't want to live that way. So you look at your reality, you figure out what kind of beliefs it's pointing to in yourself. And you're more and more, as you change your beliefs to be positive, you heal yourself, you improve yourself, you're going to get more people like that, naturally. The tapioca model of reality, all these little bubbles, like law of attraction, it's like-minded bubbles are going to be together. I don't believe violence is powerful anymore. I meet more and more people who think that too, and we build beautiful worlds together. So the idea of the multiverse, I just wanted to make one more point. This has probably gone on longer than I expected. I was trying to make a really short video, but I really need to help people understand these things. As far as the multiverse goes, the idea of, like, how can there be, like, just infinite number of different realities and I shift into them? That's all really manifesting. You're not creating something out of nothing or creating something from some ethereal spiritual vision. No, when you perceive spirits, they are totally solid in their own reality. You look like a spirit to them, okay? Your inner selves, when you visit your inner child in a meditation, you're like, oh, you seem really real. To them, you are their inner adult. They're like, oh, my future adult is visiting. They seem really real. Yeah, you're all real, just different ways of connecting with each other. No love is lost. Always love grows. Always love grows. So how can there be all these possible different multiverses? Because that, again, can be kind of ungrounding. It's like, well, I'm going to slip into like which multiverse. And I saw, there was a Sliders show, probably the most multiverse-based show, and it had some good episodes. Sliders for about 5 years. Had some really awful episodes too. It was famous for some bad writing. The point being that, it was all like, they slide through these wormhole-like tunnels into a new Earth, and they have to investigate, well, what kind of Earth are we on now? And they find out, oh, this is the Earth where, the dictators rule, or magic rules the world, or the geeks rule the world. And it's like all kinds of different ideas. And again, very dramatic, not the kind of thing you're going to run into tomorrow, but you could run into tomorrow if you process and let go. You could run into a world tomorrow where a lot of yesterday's problems aren't there anymore. Have you ever had problems just disappear? Just let them disappear on their own. Just think positive, work on other things, come back to it. It may have solved itself. So yeah, how can all these different universes exist? Well, the way I like to think of it, I ask my soul, like, you can ask your higher being, like, help me understand this. My soul said it's like a kaleidoscope. The kaleidoscopes, you turn them, you see all these amazing patterns, but the patterns are from colored glass, pieces of colored glass. Those would be like beliefs. And you're turning them, forming all these combinations of beliefs. But there's one light source coming into your kaleidoscope. You have one light source of your true divine being, your way of loving that is coming into your life through your beliefs. You change a few beliefs, bingo, you're going to get a totally different kaleidoscopic pattern. But the more you relate to your soul, you're like, aha, I'm not fooled by this. Of course reality shifted. I expected it to. I got some more positive beliefs. I believed more in love. I expected more love. More love showed up, synchronicities, opportunities, wonderful people, new people. I could let other people go or they change, whatever. But it's because I was coming from the true, real light into the kaleidoscope of my true self, your higher self, your soul, your version of the universe. You are the universe experiencing itself through you and all the other beings, and you have your unique view on everything. So when you meet everybody else, you're meeting your version of them in your kaleidoscope, as it were. And the more that you create positive beliefs, the more they just allow the truth to pass through. And a divine, beautiful, love-based world up there becomes also a divine, beautiful, love-based world down here. That's heaven on earth. But you see, you work on changing yourself. Unlike the whole domination culture, the dictators, the narcissists, they're all focused on changing other people because they're incredibly powerless in themselves. Violence is completely powerless. The point is that you can either help people or hurt them. So if you believe that you have no power, if there's only one reality out there that constantly frustrates you because you can't change the reality, another metaphor is a mirror. It'd be like trying to get the mirror to smile. The way to make a mirror smile is you smile, okay? You cannot have a frown and I'm going to make that mirror smile. All you have to do is change your beliefs, change your energy, change your choices of how you believe the true universe to be coming through. And then the mirror, the reality out there, those people that you connect with who believe similar things, they're going to immediately show up. So yeah, reality can change very quickly, and do not be scared. Oh, this is another good point I wanted to make. The point is that, see, positive energy integrates everything. It's bridge building. Basic way that consciousness progresses is that the dialectic, thesis, antithesis, synthesis. There's lots of trinities in the world. There's, parent, child, Holy Spirit. I didn't want to go with patriarchy and that, but legislative, executive, judicial. Well, that's a sore point. In my reality, the corrupted Supreme Court just decided more in favor of the dictator that's trying to get back in power. But anyway, lots of different trinities. The idea is that you notice one thing, you notice the opposite, and then you figure out how the two can fit together. Whereas negativity is very segregating. This, the opposite, keep that away from me, only reward this, punish this. And then you notice highly judgmental people, they're always walking on eggshells. Very judgmental, fundamentalist people. They're really high-strung, stressed out, because they're always worried about their own judgments coming back at them. Remember I was saying the mirror neurons? If you are going to maintain your fighting things makes them sticky, because then you have to keep it running in your head. If it's not in front of me, but I still have to keep thinking about it because maybe it'll show up to attack me. But if you understand and believe the greater universe runs on love, and then it just comes into this reality experience through the projector through the beliefs, the kaleidoscope, you're like, hey, no problem. I took care of my negative beliefs. The negative things, the people that would hurt me, I don't have to keep thinking about them. I don't have to keep clouding my mind with that. We don't connect anymore. We don't connect. If you're not the same energy vibration, you won't even meet people. Because there's nowhere else to go. There's only your energy bubble. Everything's in that. So you change your energy, you can tune into other realities. So this is what's going on with the Ascension. You can become a being who lives on both sides of the reality systems, and you can have a fundamentally positive experience even in the worst situations. Oh my God, there's this horrible dictator. Well, years ago when this guy started running for president in the United States, and we had 4 nightmare years of this guy, I was very stressed out. And I had to learn. I could not exist in a constant state of exhaustion and stress, maintaining my ideas of what to look out for. And oh my God, what's the bad thing that happened today? And, a lot of my friends were making predictions. He's going to get put in jail any day. Never happened because he's got that subhuman, superhuman strength of the abuser. Simplistic, relentless, lie-based, paranoid belief systems. But yeah, I used to be really stressed out because I didn't realize how much I was still promoting negativity. I was still negating a lot of things. But when you fundamentally bridge build, when you fundamentally say okay, helping and hurting people, okay, hurting can still exist. I'm not going to condemn anyone that goes down that path in the multiverse of far away from me, but they're experimenting with hurting people to control them because they don't think love is powerful. Lots of people think love makes you weak because, hey, if you love someone, you're just doing what they wanted you to do. How can you make them do what you wanted them to do that they didn't want to do? I have to be able to hurt them. Well, no, because in the real universe of love, you don't want to have people who don't want to do what you want to do. You want to have people who are on the same page. That is how any communication actually happens. It's all telepathy. You're in the same space. There isn't a causality of who did this first? Who thought this first? Who said this? You're thinking the same things. You're on the same page, in the same place, experiencing the wonderful synchronicities of whoa, we can do these things together because we believe in the same things. And then when we go separate ways, it's that's fine. I let you go. I celebrate diversity. So you can move out of a good and evil world, move into a good and better world. Just leave evil far behind. Evil, you don't judge it. It's just those are the people that are playing around with hurting each other to control. I don't believe that anymore. I thought it through. Those beliefs don't make any sense. The real world is all about infinite number of consciousnesses, infinite number of beings. I want the ones who are on the same page as me, who believe in love the same way as I do. So the fixer-upper Earth, the fixer-upper planet, we're going to have the best time just letting it work out. I don't know all the ways that the problem people will go away. Will they have their spiritual awakenings? Will they die off? Will they just disappear? And I forgot about them. Everybody else forgot about them. Who knows? Don't worry about it. The point is that more love is coming in. What you care about only grows. There's no free lunch. You do have to give up something, but are you willing to give up your negativity? A lot of people aren't. A lot of people are still using their negativity sort of at arm's length, holding their nose. But I will do what I got to do to intimidate these people to get my way. But if you give up your negativity, you can always have more of the positive. No love is lost. Only love is real. Only love grows. And to be clear, this idea of the belief systems will filter the divine energy, that everything has a positive experience behind it for you to find. So yeah, it may not be the most preferred experience immediately, but there's some gem, this is the whole idea of spiritual lessons. What is your major metaphor for the earth? Is it a battlefield? Is it a jungle? Or is it a school? Are you learning lessons? Is it a playground? So a major point is to understand fear and love, they're very much opposites, but only at that level of the opposites that then have to be bridged in some way. Positive energy is bridging. Negative energy is splitting. It's positive and negative are not down here. Positive and negative are here. So fear is the experience of your own power, but you have beliefs that say, I'm not powerful. I don't know who this is, but I'm scared of it's going to be used against me. I've been taught a lot of beliefs about and I had a lot of experiences from those beliefs that there are dangerous people in the world who would try to hurt me. So I experience a place of power. I experience a situation where I wish I could do this, I wish I could do that, but I can't, and other people can. You feel fear. But fear is your friend. Fear is really just, I like to see it as this big lumbering giant who says, stop, don't go any further without understanding the love, getting your love, get connected with your love. Then you'll understand the power that you have. You'll have compassion for those people who are hurting themselves in trying to model hurt and get other people to hurt themselves with them. You'll have compassion, you'll have your power, you'll be guided by your higher being what best to do in a situation. So, a major point, I'm not saying with this reality creation stuff, okay, now I become like this, this ideal person and I just step back and I don't get involved in anymore. No, it's, the old saying, chop wood, before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. You do the same thing, but you do it in a totally different way. So for example, if you're an election worker and you have an election in your country between, a halfway decent public servant and this narcissist dictator who, the far right extreme, whatever, fascism, and they're trying to rally a lot of support for their incredible kind of subhuman, single-minded, life-based strength. You're an election worker. So before enlightenment, you go out and you canvass whatever, but you're very fearful. You're very freaked out. You're like, every time somebody disagrees with you, you're like, oh my God, it's a crisis. After enlightenment, you can still do whatever you're guided to do. You be the election worker, or you be, you could be in the military, but you do it in an enlightened way of just protecting, minimal violence. But yeah, there's still going to be police, there's still going to be the firemen, there's still going to be all the roles on the planet and the fixer of the planet. But as people become enlightened, they do those roles now from a place of inner strength, of calm, of knowing how the source really works, how love really works. They don't react, they respond. So you don't get these cycles of escalating reactions that just continue the same energy and everybody's helpless and powerless. Reactions just show how powerless you are. You want to have responses where you manage your human reactions. It's human to have reactions. I react with anger, I react with sadness, but I respond to feel my emotions in a contained way. 20 minutes emotion meditations I recommend. You set a timer, do it in a private way. When you feel your emotions in a private, constructive, good-intentioned way, the energy dissipates, the energy transforms. So for example, fear, if you're really afraid of something, you're having panic attacks, anxiety, set aside 20 minutes. Don't just keep reacting all day long out of survivalism. You'll be very, very exposed to and vulnerable to people who are going to manipulate you with your fear. No, you say look, I know I have an issue with anxiety, whatever, and when you have an opportunity, you feel it privately. At the end of 20 minutes, you do something to take care of yourself, something comforting, something nurturing, to express the fact that, look, I am a creator. I created myself into a position where I felt a lot of fear and anxiety, so I needed to feel that to accept myself. But now, as soon as I have the reasonable opportunity, I'm going to do something loving for myself. You do that, you're moving in the direction of your soul, of the source. And life is not about position. It's not about what you have. It's about movement, direction. It's about what you do with what you have. So when you do the self-loving on top of accepting where you are, not a denial of like, oh, I wish I was over there, like, get me out of here. I'll do nice things over there. No, I'll do nice things here. So realizations will come to you. New inspiration, new connection with your soul will come to you. I've changed my life. I've really changed my life a lot by doing these emotion meditations, by accepting my emotions. I have other videos where I talk about accepting my emotions and feeling the emotions transform as I go in a direction of self-care and self-love and getting new levels of connection with my higher self, getting guidance, like being told like, oh, now you've connected with the love. You have nothing to fear. Go over here, talk to this person. You can let go of that, and you can change this belief. Wow, that works. It's amazing. So every emotion can transform into something more positive. So just keep that in mind. It's the direction you're looking for. So I think that's about all I wanted to say. I mean, we've all been through our experiences of thinking we had to save the world. And that's one of the biggest pitfalls of the spiritual path. You start discovering the things that really work for you, that heal you, that fix your life. And you're like, just naturally, like, I want to share this. I want to make everyone happy. Well, the only way to really make people happy is to work on your own beliefs, heal yourself, save yourself, because other people can save themselves too. The mirror reality. Do you want a world full of weak people who are trying to rescue each other? Or do you want a world of powerful people who know how to save themselves and we just share inspiration? So that's the 2 points. It's like, you don't just go off in a cave and become a hermit. You do remain in society even though you're in your own reality. You remain in society for the purpose of sharing what worked for you. And then other people who are looking for the kind of things you have to offer gravitate to you too. You've probably noticed that it's incredibly strengthening, validating, just to meet somebody who even, thinks and says and believes and experiences some of the things you do. Hopefully a lot of people are watching this video and going like, oh, yes. Oh, it's so good to hear that. It's like, I've experienced that. There have been things that I have said in theory for years, but it wasn't until I really met other people that were saying that too, and we all got together and like, yeah, there's a strength in creating communities of like-minded people. You have a community where you belong, where you thrive, where you grow, where you expand the true you. You are incredibly beautiful and divine. You have ways of giving your love, your ways of loving from the whole universe's power channeled through you to meet other people, offering them your inspirations. They offer your inspirations. It's like the universe talking to itself. It really is. It's incredibly beautiful. It's just the beginning for planet Earth. So yeah, think clearly in terms of like every time you make a shift to heal in yourselves, don't go back to the old model of like, oh, I had the most beautiful awakening. Now, how do I get everybody else to get on the same page? No, just assume like when you change, the world changed. Look for the changes. Expect miracles, expect synchronicities. Follow those. When you run into something you don't like, take it in a positive way. Okay, I don't prefer that. That wasn't something I could immediately enjoy, but thank you. It was really useful to know that I still have an old belief running that I want to change. Think it through, let them go. This is how the multiverse works. You work through all the possibilities. So don't be afraid of the dictators. Learn the lesson. This is what humanity is dealing with. How to deal with negativity. How to let the negativity go. Because, yeah, I want to wrap this up, but let's take a global view here. Why has the earth been such a suffering place? Yes, the earth has tolerated many different conflicting belief systems for a long time. Why? Because earth is not the dregs of the universe. Earth is not some slime bucket, if some beings come along and try to make you feel inferior, they're so superior, your planet is so whatever. Like a lot of classic sci-fi, it's just people's egos talking, like, oh, you human beings are so low. And it's like, no, real higher beings, when they come to Earth, they're like, oh my gosh, you are amazing beings because you knew that you could go through negative beliefs to that degree and still come out connected with your soul. Because everybody goes home eventually. Everybody comes back to their soul eventually. You wouldn't exist. It would be like a broken loop of light. If you would not exist if you actually ever really got disconnected from your source. Everybody goes home to the love eventually. The question is on what kind of schedule, at what kind of pace. People who are on different schedules, they can go off in their own realities. You are looking for your communities of like-minded, compatible people in a diversity, in a beautiful diversity, the world blossoming with all these different skills and abilities to heal the planet, this fixer-upper planet, and Earth will become the pride of the universe, or one of the great planets where really, really raw creation, like really go deep into the negative beliefs and master the beliefs so well, because there are a lot of other planets that just play around with a set of beliefs, and they tinker, and they have no idea how you could survive on Earth. How could those Earthlings do that to themselves? How could they have such experiences of powerlessness and negativity, and being so hurt, and having such emotional, intense reactions? It's like, well, because you're in a master class. This Earth is an amazing place. When you come through this, when you honor your emotions, when you work through all the reflections, when you learn to master your beliefs, when you find your way through the multiverse to the better and better Earth where you belong, you are just going to be such an amazing divine being. The Earth is so proud of who you're going to be, who you deep down are, because simultaneous time, the real you is here already too. All right, enough said. I hope that helps. I know that should help. Lots of friends. Now I can refer you to this video. Take heart. Be the powerful, divine, beautiful being you are. Thank you.